Hey everyone, welcome to Kingdom Nation Conversations. On set with me right now is Vuyo Brown. So really good to have you.
Thank you.
I know your stuff blesses a lot of people and rising people up to be more creative in the city. So thanks for doing what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Why, just real quick on the album, why the name Imprints? Where did that come from?
So the song that I just released, the first single, the lead single, is called Your Name, which is a highlight of what the album is about, which is identity. So I've always been really, really passionate about, which is funny that I've never tackled it like directly like this, but I've always been passionate about young people knowing their identity. I feel there's something with that because I realized that at least our generation, our time, there were a few people who actually knew who they were at the time that they should have, which I feel should be like in your teen years. By the time you're 14, I already knew who I was. I knew what I wanted to do. And that was because of my relationship with Christ. I was born again at 14. And so that kind of started to, make sense for me. And I became so passionate about it. But I realized later on, like in my 20s, that I was one in a few. And that became something that I'm like, because also the world is very much about, finding yourself until you have people like 50 still finding themselves, trying to figure themselves out. And I get it's your journey, but I don't know about that because I feel that time, then there's like 20 something years, you could have been just on point with what God wants you to do.
Sure.
That's time spent. If I say wasted, they feel judgmental, but I feel that is. So if you know who you are before you're 20 at least, or before you're 18, everything starts to make sense and you are deliberate and intentional about every single decision you'll make. And so the album is inspired by that. And so every song that went into it touches on that. Some of the songs are directly on it. Some of them are around worship and just your relationship with God, which really just feeds into identity.
That sounds really exciting.
Yeah.
It actually sounds like an album for this time, for like 2026.
Yeah.
Especially with all the conversations we've been having. How did you know that your identity was in the right place? Because what does that actually look like?
Right.
In a world today where people are struggling, like you said, how did you know, okay, I'm not defined by my city, I'm not defined by my performance, I'm not defined, like how did you know that it was deeper than surface stuff?
Right. I feel I would lie or I would do someone a disservice if I didn't say it's just how God was just direct with me. The way I was introduced to him at 14, I'm born again, but I really start praying like 6 years later. And I start to actually have a relationship and I start to actually enjoy a relationship with the Holy Spirit. And it's very clear. And it wasn't, I start to learn to hear his voice, to submit to his voice. I had plans. He had other plans. So like, around 18, between 18 and 20, I start to learn, okay, God wants this for me and I want this. And then I realized, okay, why is what I want different from what he wants? And I get curious about that. So I start hanging out with people who obviously have more authority in their relationship with God compared to me. And I start wanting more. I just want to learn more. I'm like, okay, I want to do this. Why do you want me to do this? Yeah. And so that just makes me, the questions I ask just make me get to know more. And what I learned then, which I still repeat to young people now, is that God is a father and he wants us to ask him the questions. He wants to know. He wants you to know what he wants for you. And so those are the questions that led me to more, how he reveals in time, some things he won't tell you like immediately. And so the relationship growing and me seeking more and just it directed me to, okay, there's obviously something else different about me. And I just grew in that. But as a teenager, it was the things that started to fall out. I started being less interested in certain things that were just around me, which is pop culture, or started just being, okay. I'm like a big Rihanna fan at some point. And at some point it's, I don't know. Okay.
Not so much.
But I started losing interest and I used to lead people, to the fun places. I used to be the one who knows where. And at some point, like, I'm like, I don't know what's happening. I'm so out of touch. I'm so disinterested that I became, connected more to the church and I became boring. And so that just made me, the separation, yeah, so I think that it just was a journey in the relationship that just started growing. And the more I knew his voice, the more I heard him, the more I spoke to him, the more I prayed with other people who would, have something else, who would hear God for me as well. It's, yeah, I became.
That's
and
cool.
I'm still becoming.
And that's the journey, right? Is to become, not just to do.
Ah, yes.
So you're in Bulawayo. Were you born here?
I was.
Okay. Born, raised?
No, I had to take a second to think. I was born here, but I was raised in many parts of Zimbabwe.
But now you're back here.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me, what brought you home?
So for the most part, I did grow up here. So I did from high school. I've been here. So it is home. It is home. The city is Bulawayo. It's a beautiful, calm city. I think the only city I've been to that I say is like Bulawayo, just maybe a bit more developed, maybe, is Pretoria. Because the first time I was there, I was like, oh, this feels like, oh, cool. Because it's just calm and creative. So creative. Bulawayo is still called the Creative Hub of Zimbabwe, and I'm so proud to be associated with that. Yeah.
So there's no other place like home. And yet people would, on the surface, say Bulawayo is a broken city.
Okay.
And we had someone come here and they're talking about how teen pregnancies are on the rise. And the heartache of economic hardships is on the surface. What breaks your heart for the city?
Ooh. I think that what you just said, the statistics that always come out every year that you hear, that if you're jealous about a place, that are just like, oh, really, us? Or the industry. I think for the most part, it's probably how the industry died here at some point. And that's all the factories around the city, the places that used to be we are called as tum, which means, like, there is no smoke. They which kind of symbolizes that, as if, I grudgingly say this, but as if there's no life, because then it's something happened and it feels like we then died. I think that's what, and I'm thinking about it as you asked me, because haven't been asked this, but yeah, I think that's what hurts. Yeah, as tun into something happened and it stopped. It stopped. It's like somebody stole it from us, and yeah, that hurts. Okay, that hurts.
I'm not going to try and pronounce what you said, but something took it from us. What does it look like to get it back?
Ooh. That's a good one. That's a good thesis right there. I think, here's what I love. I remember the idea of coming together as the church. The people too, yes, but there's just, why I say the church is because there's so many beliefs here too. So if we come together as the church with just this one goal in mind, that we want to revive the city, I think we can do it. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I bumped into a TikTok, and a certain artist was coming into a city in the States, and it was a satanic artist. I remember she said that. And the churches came together and blocked the concert. That we don't want him here. And they came together just for that one thing. And we have that authority in the land already. But because we're minding everything else, again, there's so much happening in the country. If we just came together for just this one thing, to say, okay, we need to revive the city. We, the church, are the ones who revive the marketplace. We, the church, are the ones who revive the young people. Let's get the young people into church or active in something else that's not, distracting their minds. That's not drugs. That's not depression, the wave of depression that has just come onto this generation. If we did that, I think that would be a start. That would be a start.
I agree with you. And one of the things that we've been talking about is, the enemy, if you will, or negative stories are being told often,
right,
and really well in some cases. Right. But then Jesus is always doing more in the darkness. And so it's our job to tell the story that he is doing.
Oh, okay.
Right? And so it's like, I think the story of you, the story of what you're doing, even your desire to see an imprint of his identity on a generation. I mean, that when I hear that, that gives me hope.
Right.
Because you're playing your role really well.
Right.
If you were to write the Bulawayo story, what would the title be?
Ooh.
If it was a book, if Bulawayo was a book, what would the title be? And speaking, let's just say, to a generation that maybe 2-3 generations from now, if the church did come together, what would the title be?
Oh, so as you're asking me, that came to me. The land of the living. Because Bulawayo means where okwabulawa khona, where people died. So if we rewrote that, we would say that dry bones live. So the land of the living. I think I'll title it that. The exact opposite of the name of the city.
It kind of seems like that's why you still choose to be here.
I guess so. I guess so.
Because it seems like you see something that maybe other people don't see. When you think of the next generation and the song Imprints or the album Imprint, which I love, what excites you about the next generation? Like, if they're sitting around here, what would you tell them? Like, why are you excited that they live in this city? Why are you excited that they're born in this community?
There's always a hope that a person has who has not experienced the previous. There's a hope you can have if you've been through pain. But there's a hope you have, just like an innocence that you just have when you just have not experienced anything else but. And so I think I would want them to have this excitement of rewriting or of creating their own narrative of the place, what they want. Don't think about the past. Don't think about what anybody else says. Don't think about anybody else who's holding on to this is who we are. What do you want? Who do you think we should be? Who do you want us to be? And tell, the next generation that's coming after you and the previous, because young people have this energy that we just have, that is not there in the past anymore, that, sets the tone. So what do you want? Create it, say it, write it, declare it, move with it. People are so against the 2Ks and this confidence they just have that I think we almost had. But they just have it. If they don't want something, they don't want it.
Yeah.
They want something, they want it. They just state it and they get it. I would want to see more of that.
Mm. Yeah, I think I love that, and your passion's contagious. I think when you look at the statistics, right, of people, I think it's 9 out of every 10 young people, their dream from really Zimbabwe is to leave Africa.
Oh.
So that's their dream. I'm not sure we can build with that.
Yeah.
Because if I'm with you, but you're thinking about being over there, we can't be present to build something. So what would you encourage a generation who maybe think that their best move is just to leave? What would you encourage them to do in the moment that they're in right now?
Oh, I'll be honest, that's a difficult one. I love my city, I love my country. I get it. Because when I was finishing high school too, I had no dream for here. I had no plans for here. So I understand it. It has to be Oh, I think that's the hardest question you've asked me so far.
Are they pretty hard? Sorry.
I I would want them to personalize it. Like you said, you can't build with someone who's already picturing outside. I would ask them to do what I've been doing for the past few years, is work on falling in love, work on personalizing. I think part of the problem is that it doesn't feel like it's ours. It doesn't feel like it's theirs. It's your country, it's your city, but it doesn't feel like yours. And you fight for something that's yours. You fight for something when it feels like, there's a jealousy that you have. It's God. You want to guard it a certain way. And I would want them to work on that. I don't know what that looks like.
The ownership of,
Yes.
this is something that is ours. It may not be perfect. It may be broken. And it may be sad, but it's ours and it's worth fighting for.
Yeah.
Because we are the generation that God has chosen to be here at this time. And I think that's encouraging.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting from what you're saying.
You said it perfectly.
You prompted it. I think that's really exciting. And I mean, even as you're saying that, I'm thinking, how much do I own of the future of this nation? Future of the city, although I'm not from Bulawayo. When have you felt like you've seen a almost a dream that you've given up on, and how it was resurrected?
Ooh.
Describe that moment, or what that looked like for you.
Right.
Because there's a lot of people with broken dreams, and we know that when Jesus says, I am the resurrection,
Right.
and there's something like walking with him in that and realizing, man, God, this is not all about my efforts. It's really about your grace and your empowerment. So describe a moment where you almost gave up,
Right.
and you saw God resurrect something.
It probably would be at the time that I'm saying I'm learning his voice, and I'm learning to realize, okay, I want this and he's saying this, and that's not looking so attractive. I'm like, I have plans. I have big plans. And then I'm realizing, I can't do that in Zimbabwe. That moment for me, and when you're asking me right now, I've never thought of it like that, because the direction that he was taking me to, and how when he directs you, he provides. And I had never experienced that. And then I started to realize, oh, okay. Oh. So there's a lot of O's in like that 1 year of realizing, okay, no, study this, do that. And I'm growing closer with God. And the dreams that, because at the time, it had died. I won't pretend it hadn't. This won't work. You have to make stuff you have to make money. You have to live. And
this won't work, meaning
work.
The passion,
the dream,
the artist,
yes.
the expression, the singing, the
music.
It's not going to work.
That didn't exist. That's like, huh? Wait, how?
Yeah.
How does it start? So what about talent? Is nothing. How do you make it work? And then, the like I said, God is gonna prune you, he's gonna grow you, he's gonna teach you, he's gonna, before it, then it's like, for me, it's like he then directed me back. That's what it felt like, although that was always the plan.
Yeah.
Because I had thought, oh, this is what we're doing. And that is just a dream. Yeah. And then he then gave it. I remember telling people this, and people were like, why do you do Christian music? So boring. Why do you do that? Oh, but your voice. Oh, you could do this. And I remember I'd gotten so many opportunities before. And I would tell them, it's just, I don't know. It's just not sticking. It's just not, it doesn't move me. And I remember when I first started, people would ask me, why this? And I said, because I wasn't going to do it if he wasn't going to say it. Like because then I already had experienced a bit of, when he says do it, he's going to provide for it. So whenever I need to cry, I can easily go back. So if I do something where I'm moving on my own, who do I cry to? And I'm a baby, I cry. So I want to be able to say, okay, you gave me this, we're doing it. What's next? I need to rely on that. I don't want to move on my own. I was so scared to move on my own because, I had so many plans that was just, is it really what God wants? And so I think that's what it was for me. Is that dream could be lived here, could be done here. And that's the journey. That's what happened. I hope in one of those there was a moment that
No, there's multiple moments. And actually, I'm pulling out, my wife sent me this morning. She said, when something doesn't work, don't keep trying to make it work, and don't just quit. The third way is, God, we're looking up to you.
Okay.
Which is, it's cool because it's what you're describing is, it's a journey.
Right.
And the journey is way better. What makes the journey is who you do the journey with.
Right.
Not just the destination.
Right.
Right. Like if you go to the most beautiful place in the world, but you're alone,
Right.
it's like, it's not that fun. Like go to Vic Falls by yourself. Like maybe it's okay, but it'll be okay for an hour. And then you're like, man, this is boring.
Yeah.
So you want to share. So I think people have the opportunity, this generation has the opportunity to share their journey with Jesus. Not just, well, we don't understand why this is not happening. You summed that up so well. I'm genuinely interested in this new album that's coming out. And in this season, you may or may not know, but there's, we're getting different worship leaders, choirs, churches together and pushing down all the names except one name, which is Jesus. So the story that we're choosing to tell is not about brands. It's not about logos. It's not about egos. It's not about personalities. It's actually about Jesus. How do we have an encounter with him? When you hear about people that are putting their own agendas down for his agenda, or putting their own names and titles down just to give him the glory, what does that do for you? What does that do in your heart as you think about this happening in Bulawayo?
Oh, I think, like you had asked earlier, what would it take? It becomes like part of the beginning of like coming together. There's no way that could happen and not happen again. There's no way that could happen and like so I just pictured it, and that's like like you said, every single person just there for the name Jesus and how he feels about that and how he would respond to that to Bulawayo.
Yeah.
That's a moment I would want to be a part of. I would want to document. I would want to make sure that we at least make it happen. Like it becomes a birth of something. I think, yeah, it will begin. It will be the beginning of something. It's difficult for us as human beings to do things and not put our names to it. It's difficult for us as human beings to do something and not put our churches to it, because we there's effort there. We worked hard. We practiced. So this is who we are. And, God has sent us. So my name is on there somewhere. So to be able to do that and overcome that for that moment, yeah, I think, I'm dramatic in my responses. Like,
No, I love it. I love it. It's so good.
Amazing.
And I like what you said, the beginning of something. People have asked me, so what happens afterwards? I'm like, I'm not responsible for that.
Oh.
We're not trying to make stuff up. It's like, God, you keep moving. So that's why I'm saying is I think your album about Imprint is so right on the money for where generation's at. And I think it's going to be used to touch and redefine a lot of youth in the city and around Africa. So thank you for being here. I know your time is valuable, and I know it was maybe you walked in and didn't know what was going to go on, but I found super life in the conversation. So thank you so much.
Thank you.